client profile and geographies and so on. So we will definitely plan better. This project will have to be done. That should be done by us, and we just need to space it out and then put our hearts together. I think we should be able to do this year. Maybe much better way. Some of the goals can be redefined and it can be done better. So that's the connectivity from the past. And before we get into today's topic, I also want to see why we need to know about ChatGPT and all of that. But before that, I also want to know or want to get a quick view from the team which is currently here about the event which happened yesterday. Can someone tell me anything which is significant happened yesterday? And
so the budget, right? It's a union budget.
I'm glad somebody mentioned union budget because I used to have. Sorry?
It's a union budget, I said.
Yeah, no. The answer is right. I'm saying usually I will make people do live budget. We used to do that in Chennai office.
Oh, okay.
I don't know whether we did this year. So like all the good things, we will completely forget it once somebody moves away from that office. But having said that, there are a few things I'm sure all of us who are professionals, who are looking at careers, should look at the budget documents. Not in great detail because some of us may not understand the technical part of it. Some of us might be interested in the tax and all of that. But whatever may be the reason, it is important for us to get tuned into what is happening around us and how it's going to impact our life, career, even jobs, right? So there are 2-3 interesting things which came out in the budget, which is relevant to basic. I just want to highlight those 3 points and then we can move on. All of you will remember DC Summit in Kollu, right, last time. But what did we launch on that day? In the name board, the stone which we have put outside the center. Anyone remembers what we wrote there? Kollu
Disha launch.
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah, Mohinder is saying. What is that, Mohinder?
No, it's a hub for artificial intelligence.
It's a center for artificial intelligence is what we called it, right? Of course, we haven't done anything, it's a different issue. But that was a thought last time. We said we will convert our Kollu because we started from Kollu. And as a symbolic thing, plus as an indicator of work to be done, we said we'll call this as a center for artificial intelligence. Now, government has done the same thing. So they are launching 3 centers for artificial intelligence. Of course, they will house it in IITs or any of the larger things, but the concept is the same. Work, research, education needs to be done in these efforts. So that's one alignment which is relevant to us as well. The other thing which we are all doing in our own lives, the detach, right? This budget government has announced there's going to be 30 international skill centers across the country. Of course, this will not be only for the SC or a BPO or a IT industry. It's going to be across industry, but concept is the same. If we are doing it virtual detach, but they're the scale at which we are looking at. So it's going to be international skill centers. So that's the key word. So government clearly is ahead in terms of thinking. Execution and the pace, all of us know, and all of us also contribute to that. But as a thought process, that's something which is relevant and we should look at it. Then, of course, there's a huge initiative about digital library for children. I think that probably, in my view, is really, really relevant, both from our work perspective and as a concept, because the children in urban centers do access computers, labs, and all of that. But in the COVID time, we saw, right, some of the reports which is coming up now shows that in rural India, less than 8% of the children actually had any access to online classes. Just imagine, see, we all crib about the inconvenience and the connectivity going away, power and all of that. But 90% of the kids have not learned at all. So now, when we have the digital libraries kind of scenario, I'm assuming in the future, you would have a scenario where even if some disruption like this happens, the education will still go uninterrupted. So I think these are some of the initiatives which I thought is relevant to us. And why is it relevant to us from a business point of view? I think there's definitely going to be an opportunity in digitization in terms of creating material. It's not going to be a simple task which should have been done in the 20 years back when government started computerizing the land records. Rajan might remember some of these projects, right? That was pure digitization. So you take the paper, convert it into Excel, that's called as digitization. But that's not the case anymore. We ourselves have seen some of the projects which are currently doing, right? And it's relevant directly to the topic which we're going to talk about today. So the way AI has progressed is progressing. It is extending its reach beyond what we normally envisage in our current daily life, right? So in that context, if you say creating a digital library for children across India would mean that whether in terms of content, the images, the text and videos are not going to be just in the conventional library, just put it in the shelf and search. That search option is what we are all familiar with, even in real life. I think probably those who are in their 20s, I think most of our team members are, right? They must have grown up with Google as their constant companion, right? So earlier, it was physical search. People used to go to library and go to the shelves and look at, I don't know how many of you guys have gone to the Connemara libraries and all the libraries where you search from the index, then the number, then the row and all of that. So the Google just did the technology version of that, put the algorithm and brought it to the thing, but the behavior remained the same, right? But now that is not going to be the case. It is just not intelligent search anymore. It is intelligent comprehension. So Google, I used to say when I started my interaction with the rural BPO industry and all of that, I used to tell all my team members, Google is God. Because anything which you don't know, you go and ask Google, you will get some answers, right? But today, technology has advanced even far beyond Google. Many of us don't realize it because these works happen behind the screen. But ChatGPT has broken that in a big way. So that's why we are discussing it today. So that's a brief introduction about the budget and what we wanted to do last year. Now let's get on to what we wanted to discuss today, right? So I'm sure many of you would have experienced ChatGPT. It's not something which is absolutely new, and it is not something which is a well-kept secret. Now it's all over the place, right? So I want to know from any of you, very briefly, what have you experienced ChatGPT as, or what have you heard this term? Have you heard this term? What is the first thought which comes to your mind?
So I have seen this because today everybody is in some WhatsApp group or something else. Other than all the junk which comes in, there are a lot of important material which also comes in. So I saw an Indian who presented this and he talked about. So I thought it's another kind of a bouncer where I don't understand the technology and stuff like that, right? But something stood out is like how it is going to revolutionize and also change the way we search and stuff like that. So it stood out.
Okay.
And so post which we had, we came to know about the discussion. So I did some homework as well and just saw. And so seems like it's an open AI. So I really don't know what it is, but it's also a chat box. And it also, the GPT actually stands for, they call it chat generated pre-train, right? So there's a trainer sitting along with you and an invisible trainer. So if you want anything, and even I've seen some video where even if you have something like an program which you have written, algorithm, right? And if you have missed something, so it's capable of
good coverage of some of the features which you guys, when you are expressing in words,
Yeah.
it's all like falling in place. You talked about what you said is now it's called generative AI, or they want to call it as a general artificial intelligence. So, or artificial GI, that's how they call it. So it is not one specific bot or a robot designed to do one particular function. Let's say automating the car supply chain and things like that. So this is a general intelligence tool. That is why it is becoming popular and people like us are involved. So we'll come to that. So we'll just go another 2 minutes to other centers to respond so that people can get the context before we get into what it is, and we will cover all of this one by one.
Hi, Mani. Steve this side.
Yes, Ajay.
I hope you're doing good.
Yes.
I trust you're good. Okay, so this chat GPT is basically a good thing to have an idea, but whatever I have searched or typed on it is just given me an idea. And that idea is again the data they have fed in this tool. It's still 2021 only, so it's not latest thing. Even Google, somebody was talking about the Google and Sundar Pichai. They were already working on this Lambda thing,
Yes.
right? So they are already, and the thing I got it from that they still need to touch on the localization part, so we got a chance.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we'll talk about that as well. Thanks for bringing that up. Okay, so for all of us and those who've not spoken so far, who are listening and who have not even heard this term till now, don't worry, there's nothing we've lost till now. But it's important to understand in the right context and what it is, what are the good things, what are the not so good things, how is it going to be impacting all of us. That's why I've said in the topic also that what is going to change in the work we do for our clients, for you, for me, and all of that. Sindhu already clearly said that she's already using ChatGPT, so nothing is going to change for her. But yeah, so that's the topic, right? And the origin, the name is really horrible. I don't know how you guys feel. When I first heard it, what kind of name is this? ChatGPT? Nobody can even figure out and things like that. But that's how I think some of these tech things happen. So over a period of time, you will get used to it, or they might find with even a better marketing name, or maybe they'll ask the ChatGPT only to design a better marketing name for itself. I'm sure people would have felt a little odd when they first heard Google as well, 20, 25 years back. So we'll get used to it, or they'll definitely get a better name than this. Okay, here, I'll tell you briefly what it is. So OpenAI, you heard someone mention, right? OpenAI is a non-profit organization based in US, and they are doing research on how to use the AI technology for general purpose. Like I said earlier, it is not for health, not for tech and so on. It is for common man. That's a non-profit organization. They also have a for-profit arm. They've been in the business for some time now. They've been releasing a lot of tools, APIs, all of that for multiple things. Why is this different? Okay, now what does it do? Okay, let's go there also. So the OpenAI is the parent, or OpenAI is released this ChatGPT to the world so that you and I can try. It is still in according to them, a research mode. It is not a full-fledged commercial release, but they're good enough for us to take a taste of what it is and what it can do. So what is ChatGPT? As the name somebody said, it is a pre-trained transformer model. So it's a very complicated name, pre-trained transformer model. Forget it. In simple terms, what it means is nothing but a huge AI program which is operating at the back end. So what you see, like Sindhu said, we are going to do a conversation. So you are throwing a question at it. So it is going to do not just the search engine job which Google does today, but it is also going to do computation. It's also going to bring in the NLP angle to comprehend what you're saying. For example, it can understand humor. It can create poems. So now Google cannot do all of this. Of course, Google is already doing invest, like Sushi mentioned. Lambda, Meta project Meta has their own version. Microsoft has its own version. So this race has been going on for almost 10, 15 years now, right? So what does it mean? It is you just imagine a huge AI program running at the back end. So that is good enough for our limited understanding at this point in time, because transformative models and pre-trained and then 150 billion data and all this is not really relevant today for us, right? So OpenAI released it. ChatGPT is the horrible name, but the difference is somehow people have just fallen in love across the world, right? That's the big difference. If you look at it from a tech evolution point of view, after Google, at least in my view, I don't know, I'm not a tech expert, but from whatever I've understood so far, after Google, this is the first time they've addressed the end consumers or users like you and me directly. So whatever technologies we are doing, which we are developing our companies to do and all of that, for example, chatbots and everything, it is going behind the companies, and what you are experiencing is only the outcome of what the product can do. Whereas, like Google, ChatGPT is addressing directly the end customers. So that is why this excitement has come, and they've made sure that people are able to understand and use it. And they also go to make it a commercial model. Unlike, see, Google started as a free, it's free to use, but they're building their model over ad revenues and all of that. Whereas these guys are saying, no, we're going to charge the users directly. So that's another significant difference. And since they have addressing people directly, you look at the numbers. Typically, when a new thing comes in, whether it's mobile phone, internet, whatever it is, right? Electricity, going back, all this, cars, all of that. There is a certain time the world takes to adjust or to adopt. And typically they measure this in a first million customer. 1 million customers, if they are adopting a new technology or a new method, then people think that there is enough traction in the market. Just to give examples, right? Twitter, now it's so popular, but it took almost 2 years for them to reach 1 million users. Netflix, I'm told, took almost 3 years. Today, I think no kid is born without Netflix, but it took 3 years to reach 1 million. Then there is Instagram, there is Dropbox, there are certain things which took advanced. I think the last one which we heard was probably Insta. It took almost 2.5, 3 months to reach that 1 million. ChatGPT, as some of you would know, has reached that number in just 5 days. Just 5 days of launch. And if you see the launch and go back, nothing. It was just a simple press release company issue. It is not a mega launch like Pathan movie and all of that. But it probably, now it's a race between the Pathan collections and probably the millions users in the ChatGPT. But in 5 days flat, they've reached 1 million users, registered users across the globe. Now, this is the big difference. This kind of adoption has not been seen anywhere. People, of course, now already started saying it's a gimmick and it's a marketing effort, etc., etc. But I think all the users who are experiencing it and people who are now opening up the idea of technology coming into their lives, they're all stand by it. So this is the broad picture of what has happened in GPT so far. But I want to go to the next topic of what is it really it can do and what is the difference. But before that, is there any comment or a quick questions on what I said from anybody, especially people who have not heard of ChatGPT so far? Is there anything which you guys want to clarify at this stage? Because we are going to move ahead, assuming that this is all already known. Anyone, any questions, comments? Or what I said is not clear? I see a reasonable number of people also come into my session. I'm very happy, Veena, if you're there. Okay, no questions? Okay, then I'm going to ask some people. Let's say who's there. Okay, I'm going to call out some name and you guys have to tell me something about what you heard.
Sir, this is Ashwant here. Yeah. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
So you must have, if you had a chance to use the ChatGPT, what did you use it for, sir? Or how did you see it as in your day-to-day? Was it of any use to you in your day-to-day work?
No, we'll certainly come. We will come to that. I wish I can show the screen. That is why I asked how are people going to see it. But if people are going to listen, then showing the screen is not going to be enough but I will share my experience certainly.
Sure.
But before going into the personal things, we should also look at the capabilities, right? What is happening around the world. So there's a lot of excitement because it has been released and access is made so simple for anyone. Any one of us can go and do and register, right? Then people are also now poking it, saying that can it do this, can it do that, and all of that, right? So in US, Harvard professor has given one of the MBA papers to ChatGPT. And it cracked, it passed. And in US, many of you will know the medical license exam is one of the toughest exams because even people, doctors who go from India to US, many of them don't get a license because they can't crack the medical licensing exam. So they gave that to GPT. That also cracked. So then there are law exams, several universities have applied papers. And remember, these are not the, Sushi mentioned the training part, right? 21 before and all of that. So they ensured that the questions which they are setting is not part of the training data set. They must have definitely trained something around the algorithms, but when they set a paper, they set it fresh. So the ChatGPT was able to comprehend, go back on whatever it had accumulated, still come back and intelligently answer the questions good enough for professor to evaluate and give a pass mark. So which means you can understand the potential of what is behind the thing. And I'm told the computational effort behind the ChatGPT right now, it's only a fraction which has been released. So then imagine the power of computing and the search and the comprehension which can actually unleash if it really goes to the way. So this is just an example in terms of how strong this animal is, and how we make use of this for us is the interesting question. Next is the interesting question, right? Okay, now that you ask me, Ashwant, I'll tell you what I did for the first thing when I heard of this. I read somewhere saying that it is capable of writing a poem. So the first thing I tested was one of my friends had her 50th birthday. So I just went to the ChatGPT and said, write a poem for the 50th birthday of my friend Anuradha Ramani. So obviously within seconds it gave a beautiful poem with her name thrown here and there, 50th, this, that, everything. Then I wanted to test it a little further. Then I said, write a funny poem for Anu's 50th birthday. Then it came with another version, which obviously has got a much more hilarious thing than the first one was more of a 50th, the milestone, what have you done in life, etc. But the second was much better. So it is able to comprehend, it's able to produce results which will probably take hours for anyone to even think right. Writing poetry itself is not going to be that simple. But even if we made an attempt, if I made an attempt, probably it would have taken me 10 days to write 2 lines. But it was able to generate all of this in 15 seconds. Of course, it is generic. It is not like capturing all the data. So that is the second part of the experience. I think Mohinder mentioned it, or who mentioned it, prompts. Because this is a machine. Please remember, whatever maybe it might be clearing the Harvard exam and all of that, end of the day, it's a machine, right? Machine is like a baby. Machine is like a baby, which means it doesn't have any comprehension ability when it's born. It learns from the environment, learns from the parents, learns from observing, then builds its own biases. This machine, for all its might, is exactly that. So when you talk to a baby, you need to have a very clear instructions. Otherwise, it's not going to be giving much of use. It will generate. See, this is capable of producing hundreds of images and text, text in shortest time. But you can't make use of it if it's not relevant to you. And one hilarious example comes to my mind. All of you would have seen Yendran movie. You remember the dining scene where they're all having food, and that one of the Rajini's mom says, "TV podu." So the robo walks and just drops the TV. Right? That's exactly the method in which you deal with ChatGPT. So TVA podu is something which I think all of us will understand. Even people who don't know Tamil will crack what is TVA podu. But machine will not. So you need to be refined in your search if you want to extract more. Anyway, that's the usage part of it, right? Now, if you look at it from a professional point of view, right? What are the things it can do? And how is it better than Google? Because that's one of the debate they brought in Sundar Pichai as well, right? Now, people are thinking that, at least I've been thinking, many of us know this very well. Ashwin knows this extremely well. This whole Google commercial model of throwing million searches to you and then making an SEO out of it to create money, to monetize and all of that, it has actually taken away the core utility of the Google search engine. It has now become a money machine. So if I have to come at the top of SEO of Google, I can do just by paying enough money to Google. So which is a huge commercial point of view, but it also sort of self-defeats the purpose of search engine, right? Search is supposed to be searching without a bias and bringing me the best and giving me something which I want. But because of the way commercial model has worked, so the search engine is now gone beyond the search capability. It has built many more things on top of it, SEO and other things. Even Google has also put a lot of AI behind the Google search right now. Like, it is not the search which existed 10 years back. Every day they're also improving their comprehension. They're remembering your earlier searches, related searches, content, and all of that. Now, what ChatGPT has done is, I don't want to confuse the user with options, right? Instead, I will do my own comprehension, understanding, and give you an answer, only one answer. So that's why the conversation thing goes back very well, right? If you ask a question, it gives you a reply to you just the way you and I talk. So this is one of the huge shift from the way machines work so far. So it is comprehending and giving you an answer in a very structured sentence. So it is not a string of words, right? You would read any of the answers, they are complete sentences, grammatically correct. And it is like somebody said, it's like a coach or a teacher explaining things to you. So this is another advantage of this, because you get only one answer. It, of course, it tells you the pitfalls and all of that, but it is responding to your query in a very personalized way, right? And it is also very smart in the sense you can't really catch it with silly questions and all of it, because it's got enough capability to crack it. So one of the things I tried this morning, right? Because we all read about the G20, which happening in Research Park happened last week in our Chennai office also. India is excited about G20. So I asked a question, what did Mahatma Gandhi think about India's leadership in G20? So it immediately came and said, boss, Gandhi lived in 69, blah, 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 this year. At that time, he was not there. But it didn't stop there. It said, but knowing Gandhi's principles, you would have appreciated the leadership shown by India, and all of that narration is also coming in. So in one line, it is biased, it is wrong, it is right, doesn't matter. But it is giving you a very well-structured response. I think that is the biggest achievement here. Nobody is claiming that this always gives you the accurate ones, but it gives you an accurate response for you to probe further. So that's a beautiful feature they have built. In Google search, you can search for something and you can pick one and then go inside, right? But here, the conversation it carries, it remembers. Like I talked about the poem and funny poem. So it remembers the previous question, then I also give me a funny version, immediately it gives the funny version of it. So that memory and the conversation is another great feature, which is very useful when you do your work. Okay. Now I'll quickly come to some of the work which we can do, which all of us can do and help and take help, etc. Right? So someone asked me, what will you use it for? Ashwant, right? So this morning I asked ChatGPT, basically 16th birthday is today, I want to give a speech. So immediately it gave me a 4-paragraph speech, which talked about Desiko's vision, and it talks about the progress we've made, 16 years, and all of that, right? So it is capable of course, it doesn't have the detail to tell me the last year's revenue and clients and everything, but if we prompt it enough, the thing I asked was, I want to now write a speech for basically a rural BPO. So that immediately it started talking about the employment and job opportunities, rural youth, all of these words came in. So for one prompt, it's able to connect and comprehend much more way. Right? Now, what I thought some of the things which we could do, especially let's say from HR point of view. So every day we are conducting interviews, right? We're conducting interviews for people, selecting and all of that. So I'm not sure how currently the HR team works, but you can easily ask GPT to give us the questions. Let's say I want to test someone for labeling, right? If you ask GPT to give me the 3 questions which I want to ask an interview candidate, it gives that straight away. Because earlier, we had discussions earlier also that we need to have an HR round, then we need to have an ops round, because ops guys will ask the technical questions, HR will ask about the people part, and we had multiple things, right? But here it's not required. So as long as the ChatGPT's answers are better, HR need not say that I don't know, I'm not technical, somebody else, I have to wait till somebody comes, he's available only for Thursday. All that is not there now. You can go well prepared. We have only whatever number of clients, number of centers. So you can use it very well if you create a bank of questions and get into that part. So that's just one thought which came to my mind. And if you look at similarly, I probed further this morning. I know somebody from IT is there in this call. Anybody from IT team is there? Okay, now even if they're there, I'm not going to say yes because I'm going to ask a question. But fair enough. So I asked ChatGPT, how do you implement the data security in a work from home scenario? So these are very practical questions which we need to know, right? So it immediately gave me a procedure in terms of step by step what needs to be done. Okay, then I realized that it's very generic, right? So then I asked another question, follow-up question, saying that how is this different from what I will do in my office? Then it brought out very clearly that in work from home scenario, what are the critical things we should be concerned about? The first is obviously the VPN connectivity from our home to the office network. So it brought out those 2-3 points which needs to be taken care of. Now for anybody in the IT team, these kind of hints and things are very helpful, because otherwise we have to listen to a lecture from Thiru and we need to, and Thiru will say some things and we'll understand only 10%, we'll not register, we'll not write down notes, lost. But here it's available in front of you. So how, in fact, the question I asked was how to implement antivirus in a work from home scenario. So there are many practical aspects of it. So it is not a search engine alone, right? It is not just, it's going to, it is also a search engine, but more importantly, it is going to be comprehending what you're asking and trying to look for answers wherever it is and come and help you. If you're not happy, you can push back. There is an option to regenerate the answer. That's also interesting. So you don't like the answer, you can say regenerate. It make a second attempt. It will not be completely different, but it can see that it is making an effort. And for some of us who are interested in translation and all these kind of things, so you can throw some translation questions also. I tried it with 1-line, 2-liner. So it gave me some answers. When I said you translate my entire speech, then he came back and said, no, I'm not a translating guy. You go to Google, there are some translators you can find, but I will not be able to do the entire translation. So it's very intuitive, the conversation, and you can shape the way you want, and you can take what you want and leave the rest. Right? So these are some of the things which I went through in the limited time, and obviously I'm not very computer savvy guys like many of you guys. But reason why I wanted to bring this to all of us is, one, this was launched on November 30th, right? And it's already all over the place. You will see that. And even in India, it is spreading like this. So now the corporate world, or people like us who are in the knowledge industry and are in some way contributing to the AML part, need to be aware of this first. So there is no reason why any of us will not know about ChatGPT, and knowing it helps to understand what is the latest in the market. And if you look at it from a business model perspective, they've given a beautiful answers for that also. They're going to charge the user. They've already touched 1 million. That's 2 weeks back, but now probably now would have crossed 2-3 million. And if you look at their first year revenue, it will be already touching $1 billion. So there is no startup which can talk about that kind of a revenue in the first year. Right? And they've got investment from Microsoft. All of that has happened. So that is on the business side of it. But from a impact perspective on the usage, technology, and how useful, can we really trust it? Is it going to take away my job? I think that's another big question. A lot of people are raising this part. And I think about exams in, or the essays, projects in the colleges, etc. See, there, in my view, it's not about just the college projects. The entire college education, as we see it, like for example, if I had done 4 years of engineering, right? So I've been taught multiple disciplines at various points in time over that 8 semesters, and very structured curriculum, right? Syllabus, exam, paper, and this and that. Now, even in the exam, I'm sure many of you who stayed in the hostels will know this very well, or even otherwise in the classroom, that's what happens. So when there is a test, when there is a quiz, when there is an exam which you don't know, what do most of us do? We turn around to our neighbor, locate the guy who's scoring first mark or the girl who's the topper, and go and ask them this question. And they will, of course, help you with something. Right? This is exactly the scenario. So that person is your ChatGPT. So people could do the bare minimum to pass the exam just by taking the answers from the toppers, and they were enjoying the degree. So that's how we are going to be right now. So you don't have to really spend your energies to learn new things, but you should be smart enough to ask the right questions. So it is not one project. The whole engineering degree is already gone. There's no need to even get into all of that. Why would I do that? Because I need to apply that somewhere, right? But as an engineer. But today, if my ChatGPT has already done everything, I just need to ask the questions and get into the principles. Where the learning will continue to be useful is the basic principles, creativity, and all the other things which are very human oriented, because that can't be replaced forever by machines. So education will definitely impact, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of schools and colleges have already banned ChatGPT because they're not able to figure out who's written. Like for example, the poem which I said, I sent it to my friend. She's still thinking that I've done some great work in English. So I haven't told her till now. But this is a big concern. Now, another smart thing these guys have done, they've already anticipated this. Because the creators would have thought through this also, right? So today or yesterday, I think they've released a new version or API, or which will tell them that this text is created by AI, not by humans. So you can differentiate. Suppose I'll give you a paragraph and ask you to see whether it is done by human or by AI. They are figuring out a way. It's called classifier. The classifier is going to classify and say this is done by human, this is done by AI. Of course, that itself is an AI program. It will have its own accuracy and all of that. But they've understood this confusion it might create in people's mind. So that is also getting taken care. The reason why I wanted to share this in larger audiences is just to bring out this 2 critical points. One is the speed at which this is happening. This speed is unprecedented, right? Whether it's adoption 1 million users or the multiple scenarios, it is like the whole world is engaging creatively, figuring out with something. So that has never happened before in the technology world. All the technologies those days will be the big servers and big computers, rocket launching. This is how we are having the perception about the technology. But today it is breaking down beautifully, trying to, somebody can call this as an intrusion, but it's certainly unavoidable component of our life. The sooner we understand and use it to our advantage, the better for us. And the other thing why I'm thinking it's relevant to the AC crew is, it is combining many of the projects which we are currently doing. Data collection, your data annotations, your conversational AI models, then your the entire backend model testing. So all of this is directly relevant here, and which means there is going to be a lot more opportunities which are going to be built around it. And one last point which is relevant here, they also acknowledged it. The way they build this model is through the human training part, which Ashwant also mentioned in one of his emails, right? So when they started, just imagine day one of this project, nothing is there, right? So how does the machine start learning? So they got humans to do the role play. The conversation was actually played. So this is exactly what they've done. So it is the research of that when you do training, all of that. For any AI project, there's going to be a huge number of hours and human beings required. That's not the case. And for those who are interested, you can Google a term called zero shot. Zero shot learning is the capability there, where you don't have to repeat the same process for one method. Like, for example, if I've done for Tamil, I've built a beautiful base that can comprehend and answer everything in Tamil. Now I want to do it for Malayalam. I don't have to go to the 1 million tons of data in Malayalam. Zero shot will enable me to seamlessly get into the Malayalam, maybe not 100% accurate, but at the same time eliminating that entire human effort which is required to start the project. So it's very interesting for us because many of our clients are already moving into this. We might do a different process today for them, right? But they are into this technology. So for us, opportunities are going to come in the area around this part, whether it is training models, whether it is end-use application, even moderation, all of that is going to be there. So these are things which will never be taught by anybody. So DTouch has to pick up very quickly, and we definitely need to understand this so that we can have meaningful conversation with our clients. If we don't do this, if we think that we'll continue to do what we have done in the past, then that world is the dangerous world. So that is the other reason why I wanted to bring it. So it is not something which you can say, okay, it's an excitement, somebody is doing Google search and this is the no. It is going to hit us much faster than we think. It is not going to be the scenario where the robots are ruling the world and those kind of things. That is not the case. But in workspace, it is going to come to us in multiple forms. It's up to us to take advantage of that, right? And the more you give input, the more you prompt, the better answer you will get. And how to use it in the future, we may not even realize that it's getting using the ChatGPT because they will integrate the product with the backend API. So your phones, your Word document and everything will suddenly become, because Microsoft is a huge investor, they're going to obviously make use of it. So you might see the next version of Word will be looking very different from the current version of Word. That is how it will reach us. So anyway, I think I'll just stop here because I've been talking so long, nobody's even responding. So I understand that it's not getting anywhere as usual. So I want to open up the floor for questions. And I don't know all the answers. I'm happy to share my thoughts. Or any questions which you all want me to cover in ChatGPT, that is also okay. But we have next minutes to do.
Sir, I have a question. Very layman, my understanding is a bit that way. You talked about the poem now, right? Where you can write in a poem for the student, right? So is the poem generated or it's thinking and writing that poem? So that's my first part of this question, one. So that brings to the next part is like, does it search from a database or it can think and respond? Obviously, it looks like it can think and respond. The reason is like you talked about the Gandhiji part, right? Gandhiji in IIT and how was it G20 and all, probably it's thinking as well. So I just wanted to understand these three parameters.
Yeah, so it is not, as I said earlier, it is not a search engine. It's not searching database and fetching the answers, the best answer to you. That is the, whatever, some prehistoric model of the technology right now. there is a, see what we call, I think the guys who are already in AI will know. Any machine, any algorithm, if you train that with the right set of data, right, then it retains the essence of the training. That is what we call as intelligence or thinking part of it. So it's not creating something on its own. It is still searching and comprehending, but it now knows to think little bit like human. That's what we do, right? So you are able to comprehend very clearly that, say, you're driving the road, you can see a cat. Without even realizing anything, your brain can figure out that's a cat. But computers cannot. That is why this whole world of driverless car is still struggling, getting into accidents and this. It's going to take a lot of effort, right? So there is a pre-training involved. It is not a simple Google search engine. And in the same poem, example what you said, it is connecting the dots. I've given the hint, 50th birthday, her name, Anuradha Ramani. So she's trying to build a rhyming word which will go well with the Ramani. Those are the things which it's doing on the back end. And it's doing so fast and giving it to you the way you want. And I also want to test another thing, whether it can comprehend something which is not written very well in English. So I asked today morning, give me the recipe for Vattakodam. So immediately it gave. Saying that because it could grasp search, because everybody will write Vattakodam in many different ways, right?
True.
So it is looking that way also. So it is acknowledging that variations. Remember, the search engine goes by keyword. So this is not just keyword. That's why I said the keyword here, sorry, bad usage of word. The important element here is the comprehension. So they are trying to build the comprehension. So even if I write Vattakodam something, it's cracking what it wants and give me the message.
So there is an emotional quotient to that. Emotional quotient to the entire ChatGPT, the algorithm or the database that it has inside. When you talk about a hilarious poem that you're talking about, so it has the emotional quotient built into the system.
Not really. See, emotion is a completely different ballgame altogether. That is where technology has made a least progress so far. So in our current clients, Unifor, for example, is doing the conversational AI. They are working on this exact sentimental part of it. So suppose a customer, I'm calling the bank, right? I'm shouting at the top of my voice. So now computer cannot understand that today. So they are working on looking at my state of voice or the agitation or the choice of words I'm picking up, all of that to understand that the customer is angry. And then therefore they're trying to figure out. So this is the emotional part, but ChatGPT doesn't claim that part at all. The humor part, I think they've added only because it is hitting the mass market and it's something which can do it. So it go and give you some other emotions, it's not going to detect it.
But humor itself is an emotion, isn't it? They are started on those lines, isn't it?
Sorry?
Humor itself, by that word, whether it is catching the keyword humor or hilarious in your case, it is catching that emotional quotient in terms of choosing that adjective and giving an information in 15 seconds.
It is at a very, very superficial at the first level at this point. For example, you give a sarcastic movie dialogue to comprehend. I don't think it can comprehend at this point. So that's like a different research. Here they're talking about comprehension is the key, because that is, I think, is way beyond. You put anything, it's able to comprehend and give you the thing, and then the more you question, it's able to build on and then give you the final answers and all of that. So that is the ability which this ChatGPT has got. Right? It will take a long time to integrate into the emotional part of it.
So
and it is in vernacular languages.
Sorry?
It is in vernacular languages?
No, see, as usual, this is West, right? So it can do very well English to French, Spanish, Japanese. But Tamil, Telugu, Hindi, Oriya, I think like Sushi said, we are there. So we need to move fast enough to build.
But they claim they are in 95 languages, which has Hindi and all.
Today, one thing you have to remember, because it's now become mass product, Microsoft Techno, right? So they're obviously going to throw all the marketing things to saying that 120 languages, this, that. Not true. It is not trained. Go back to the website also, it clearly says. So the translation French, Spanish, and Japanese.
So net, if somebody wants to understand, can are they right when we can say that it's like the traditional Google search plus a bit of intelligence and course which is going?
Tons of them, not a bit of intelligence.
Yeah,
See,
a bit of.
you can easily see tasks getting eliminated. You don't have to say jobs getting eliminated or not, that I don't know. But if you look at the task and the effort which is going on there, it can easily be eliminated in many of these examples what we said.
Okay.
Recipe part is, so it is going to enable
Yes.
and try it out and all of that. So it's eliminating the effort and the task. Whether it will eliminate the job, only the time will say. But if you look at SEO, for example, as an industry and opportunity, definitely if I am going to look at SEO doing for my website, why would I even hire somebody? Because earlier also I would have hired only one person for SEO. And then I need to brief him, explain him. And of course, eventually he can do a better job than anybody else. But today, if I were to do a quick result, I'll rather go to ChatGPT. And Sindhu mentioned about the marketing campaigns and all of that. So ideas for changing things, a lot of work that can be done by human beings can be attempted at the first level. It is the same thing which we have seen everywhere. Like when we had the automation from our clients, right? HDFC, for example.
Right.
Insurance came with the mobile where the sales guy walks and fills all the customer data.
Sure.
So the entire part of data entry validation is gone. But what happened? Validation at the back end.
Yeah, I think
Now required more specialized human beings, skilled people. So that is a cycle. So you can use the ChatGPT for your first level thing, quick, but not for accurate and in-depth part of it. So that's why humans will always go. So the nature of jobs is going to change, but not the jobs per se. Okay, can we have more? Can we have questions from Kapu, please?
Question and this thing also, kind of observation and thought also.
Yeah.
I don't know, but probably there can be a chance where this chat GPT can be a bias, because we don't know what kind of data is fed in the tool. For example, if we are talking about the languages, right? Maybe Mandarin, Dogri, Tamil, whatever it is, or maybe a historical subjective. We are not sure that whether it's inclined towards one particular angle. I hope you are getting me.
There is no doubt such. It will be biased. There is no way anybody is even claiming that it is not, right? See, all of us are biased. So, same way it will have its own bias. Only thing is, you are biased with your own cognition and the way you grew up, how you interact over time. So, it is going to depend on the initial training set of model, the things which got exposed and what is there. In fact, if you remember, some of you will remember, Microsoft launched a version maybe 3-4 years back. Something similar, claiming that it's going to revolutionize the world in conversational AI, this and that. But within minutes of launching it, it started throwing up words which are not acceptable to the society in general, especially with the Black community. So they had to withdraw, and it happened within a few hours of launch. So machines will have norms which are very different from human beings, and they are, to their credit, they're not even claiming it's accurate or unbiased. So like I said, this can be misused very well, easily.
Right. So we are not.
Take it with the good, with the bad.
We should not, or anybody should not. Use it as a kind of gospel. So probably just only for thinking.
No, absolutely. It is not a substitute for our reasoning or human capabilities, right? But it's like someone said, it's like a coach. It's like a training partner. You can bounce off. If you are not sure, you can ask. You can get it clearly and see how things can be related. Practical things also, right? So I'm going to make a presentation to somebody, right? And I don't have a lot of time to think. If I had time, I would write the speech overnight and come back. But if I'm coming on the road and thinking, then you can just put the 4-5 keywords. It's going to give you the broad idea of what needs to be done. Then you can catch up from there. So it's going to help you in that speeding up things and saving a lot of this part. and covering maybe 60 to 70%. So the rest we'll have to, but you will realize that when we are put into that kind of situations. Hey, sorry, I have already exceeded the.
No, sir. We can, sir. I think we have some questions also, sir.
Sure. Please let's get questions.
Sir, Shweta here, sir.
Yeah, Shweta.
Yeah, so I just want to add a couple of more things to this. So I've been using ChatGPT almost from the past 1 month. So now it has been every morning when I open my Gmail, ChatGPT also along with that. Okay, and technically speaking, it has been very useful to us. For example, I can give you a scenario like where we have got a customer requirement on something new to us. It is testing of telemetry data. So this we have not done before, but with ChatGPT, we could at least understand like how to collect the data, how to test the telemetry. So these are the couple of questions I have asked ChatGPT, and I got relevant answers. And based on those answers, at least we try to understand the concept, and we have asked our queries to our customer. So this is how technically this is very much useful to us right now. And apart from that, it can write the Selenium code, Cypress code.
Yes.
So whatever code we want,
No, you said it right, Shweta. I think this is the brilliant part of it. All of us, I think I will request every one of you in the call, and also you should spread the message to all of our team members in Basic Group. This is an aid, beautiful aid, right? So the more we use it, the more we fine-tune our requirements. Now, this is not immediate. It's not going to be instantaneous answer, or like Sachiv said, it's not the final answer. But it is going to help you set a new way of doing things, whichever the problem. I think even take the mundane which we have, right? For example, my team, there's a lot of absenteeism, right? So if you go and say like that, it will still give you some response, motivation, blah, blah, blah. But then you throw some more specific things. So the more and more, like I said earlier, it's like a partner, like boxing partner, all of that people have. You can use it even to your day-to-day. Like example of H9. Implementing an antivirus in a work from scenario is real. And in our traditional method, we don't have an answer. We ourselves have figured out something, right? Now, if there are better ways, if there are people who can tell us how to do it, why not? So the work, and it is not just a search engine. It is not a one-stop solution for all our life's problems. No, but it can be nudged. You can ask it to do the work for you. Like said, somebody said in the beginning of the call, we'll have to learn to make the ChatGPT work for us. Now that is a skill by itself. See, what are the managers doing? All of us, what are we doing? We are making people work for us, right? So treat ChatGPT as one of your team members. Make work for you. In fact, we had the same thing with the Accountify thing. We're calling the bot as Jarvis. And I don't know whether the new website has it. The earlier website had all the team members, Pritesh and everybody, and then on Jarvis also as part of the team members. So that is probably a good visualization for us. Treat ChatGPT as part of your team member. Whatever is a thing you want to get done, try it once. You may not like all the time their response, but like Shweta said, once it becomes a habit, then it's very addictive as well. And it sometimes is fun. Like the Vattakuram recipe, I was like completely stunned. It's not expecting that to. I thought I don't know the word. I don't recognize. Sorry, the typical the search will say. But that was brilliant.
But did you give it the right recipe? Vattakuram?
I know how to eat Vattakuram. I don't know what recipe is. Make it and give it. Then we can figure out. More questions, please.
Actually, there is one more thing I would like to add here. I heard that already there was a book published by a person. I mean, he has taken all the content from ChatGPT, and the book was actually published. I mean, it's a kid's book with nice animations. I think everything he has got from ChatGPT.
No,
it's there in Amazon now.
No. This is what I'm saying. See, the human mind and brain can work even much faster than even ChatGPT, right? So it is like the world is. So this is going to be an issue for lawmakers and everything. In fact, in US, one of the senator also used ChatGPT to prepare a speech. So it is spreading. It's like spreading faster than our coronavirus, right? But there will be always, of course, some moderating thing which will come in. But like I said before, glad that you guys are not behind, you're already leading. But I want entire basic group to include into this. It will be useful. Then it will open up questions around it. Why, what, especially our NLP. We already spotted this week right now. They're talking about Japanese. Why not our Telugu and Tamil and so on? So that's a question which will set aside a lot of questions for us to work on, right? Similarly, on labeling, annotation, everywhere, every single work of ours can be bettered by asking the right question, whether it is a HR part of it or the technical side of it, like Shweta said. Probably it'll have more work on the technical side than compared to our normal work which we do on the. But whatever it is, I think this excitement is there. There a lot of hype is also there. So you don't have to believe fully, like Sachiv said, but make use of it. We'll definitely not much. Okay. So if there are no questions, can we wind up? And okay, more important, if I have to ask one question to ChatGPT, right? I would ask, how do we make the Dean guys respond to my emails? I'm going to ask this question. I'm going to ask that. Now, so many guys are asking this question. I'm happy. But if I written a mail on ChatGPT, this wouldn't have happened also. So,
it will know what is DNX, because DNX is our internal stuff. Hope it knows.
No,
DNX is a website. DNX is a website. So, in fact, I'm typing the question, I'm getting a reply.
Oh, okay. I didn't know about it. DNX is a website. And okay. I didn't know about that.
See, the more you feed, the more it will grow. So, what is internal trees? That's another thing, Saran. Today, that boundary is also vanishing. What is internal, what is external kind of
True.
thing. Right? So, if you write a blog somewhere and mention DNX, then it becomes external. Then somebody will question, then it will go and keep driving out. And then that's how I said, when I said rural and Desi Group, it brought out rural job creation, women, young youth, all of that on its own. So it is able to make that kind of a connection.
Fabulous.
Sure. Thanks, guys. It's been fun.
There are two other questions, Mani, Nirmalya and Sindhu.
Oh, okay. Please ask. I'm not seeing any of them. Please ask.
Yeah, Ashwin sir answers raised. We have 3 questions.
Yeah, basically not a question, just observation. First of all, thank you for taking this session. It is actually giving us a moment.
Please write an email.
No, it's okay. And second issue is I have briefly gone through the basics. What I understand that it's based on intelligent comprehension over a large set of pre-trained data. Like Sajiv said, it might be biased also, but still it's an excellent coach. 2 areas which I think would be, from my point of view, should use it. One is for my marketing initiatives and team, how to improve it and what are the next things we can learn. And the other is for our clients. In the context of AIML services, how obviously this will catch up soon with the clients also. Obviously that started. Any form of services or integration we can provide along with this. That might come up in later.
No, certainly, I think that's a good thought process, right? Because, like I said, today these are available. Earlier, that was not the point. See, what we need to now make is the lateral connection. So, whatever we are offering today, can it be bettered in some way with the help of the technologies like ChatGPT? This is the thought that should be there. And if you go back, this is now they've opened up for retail users, but traditionally they've been releasing only APIs.
Right.
Like I said, the Word will become a better version of Word without us realizing, because the backend will have a API discussion with the ChatGPT.
Absolutely.
So yes, we should also start thinking in our service terms, especially Shweta already talked about learning for bettering the customer part. Now we should take it to the next level. How do we make our services better with the dollops of intelligence coming in from outside? That's a good thought. So then everything will suddenly become AI based.
So Mani sir, if that is the case, if everything becomes AI and machines start thinking like a human, does the human become more like machines?
we'll simply rely on
Humans
this.
have become like machines long time back, Sindhu. You've seen that everywhere, right? You were living in Chennai, Hyderabad, wherever. They're nothing but machines. All of us have already become machine long time back. So
But is that good for a
we have
country
become
like-
faster machines than the machines are taking time to become human. But don't worry, they'll never become human. See, like I just now said, should give an example. No, somebody brought the book.
Yeah.
Chat GPT or Super GPT also cannot think like that. So it is a long debate, long far away. But what is glimpse? You see, these are things which are now in public domain. So obviously people will have their own views. But it is not that we are anywhere closer to becoming human and things like that. In certain areas, yes, they can do much better than human. But humans, like give the examining cat on the road, no machine can beat it. Simplest of thing, right? So actually you can see that broadly, what is appearing simple to us is the most complex for the machine, and vice versa. So for you to imagine 100,000 pages to be read and written a summary, that you can do in 2 seconds. So broadly, you see whatever we think is difficult is much easier for the machines. And the simplest of the thing which you can do, machines can never do.
Right.
Ashwant, I believe he also has his hand raised.
Oh yeah. So I'm just going to finish off with telling that last 3 weeks, right? I'm working with one of our folks from US who she's working on a lead gen. So she has no idea about anything on AI. She completely relies only on ChatGPT. So every day on the call she comes and tells me that, so apparently these are your competitors, these are your value statements. So I realized she prepared an entire script based on only ChatGPT. And all the conversations we're talking about, as to what is the value proposition, who are the companies that are spending, what would be an ideal script, why would we fit in? So the conversation that she should ideally have with somebody from Desiku, she's having a ChatGPT, and she's only validating the text with me, as to what would be the content. So that from that perspective, work-wise, for me, it is like a lot exciting. There are a lot of life questions that I ask, like who's going to win the 2023 World Cup? How good would CSK do? Unfortunately, it's not having future predictions. But what it also does, it can get on the teams that they're well prepared. What goes into making a winning team and all that. And I also asked the universal question of why did Katappa kill Bahubali and all that. So it still was able to give me an answer. And then going very specifically into annotation, data annotation services that we talk, who the competitors are. For basic, it's kind of a bit, the name Desiku is still not there yet, but from an industry perspective, it is helping us to kind of generate a lot of data, lot of inputs that we ideally would take a few days of iteration to work on. And interestingly, that data it's generating, it's not plagiarized in the sense that if I put a Google search on it, it's not coming in. It doesn't get captured on the plagiarism site also. There are a lot of ways and means. I think we from DTouch also should see how we can fit into ChatGPT. But I personally see that, Desiku has a very nano role in it. The kind of data that our teams have done, the training data sets that we have created in some way, I know has fallen through. I'll try to find the link. But I know that because we are working on AI for Bharat, we're working with Microsoft Research, we've been doing work with names even like Unifor, everything that Desiku contributed that's available online, including the NPTEL script, everything, goes in some way into the making of this. So I think we have our own drop of ocean to contribute. We can proudly say that we've contributed to this ocean, but I think in the days to come, how much we can learn from it is more significant, and how we can kind of use for our work is going to be even more significant. So good luck to everybody. Yeah.
One quick question from my side. I just want to ask Shweta, Udaya, if she's there. So can it now write a script by itself? So will our job get eliminated?
Yeah.
Cloud?
Yes, sir. Hi, sir. This is Udaya. Yes, sir. So, actually, first thing, when I heard of ChatGPT, I thought, it's a kind of like an automated chat box, like where we have in all the websites for support activities. Then after I trying it, then the first thing I tried, like with a simple question, generic question like meaning of my name, what is the meaning for my name, and some temples or some best places to visit near our place and all. Then after that, slowly, I just asked like what is software testing. Then immediately it generated a document. Then after that, I just asked, how to write a Selenium script for closing a browser. So within a second, I mean, it generated the entire code. Then after that, then I asked like, okay, so maybe we can ask some installation procedure. Because the team was, we've been trying to fix some issue with the installation APM tool. Then I asked for the APM installation procedure. So that also, like within a second, it generated the entire steps. I mean, in that we missed some steps to follow. So that also it included and it generated. Then, okay, so maybe we can try something else. Then I tried like, so some functionality which we were not able to fix for a long time. So I just asked like whether can you generate a Selenium Java code for this functionality. So for that also, so it immediately generated a code. But the only constraint was like, I mean, I asked for a Java code, but it generated a Python code. But even at the end, they added a note saying that this is a script, and if you want to have like a Java, then this has to be mentioned. So that kind of note and all they've added. So I was shocked.
So you will promote ChatGPT in the next. Yeah. So yeah, I think these are things which are sounding so dramatic, but this is really real. Even it takes.
Yeah.
But I just want to end on a funny note. I told my daughters, because if you watched all the kids now, they've stopped speaking, communicating in proper sentences. Everything is coming down to your chats and whatever, all of this. Now it has become emojis. So not even 1-2 line words and all, right? Now everything is through that. So I said, boss, now it serves you guys, right? Because if you want to do anything from ChatGPT, you have to first read a long sentence and they'll write a sentence. So we are coming back in that sense. Instead of to one monosyllable word and letter, hopefully, because this is still, imagine, see, the technologies now is only text. Just imagine this is going to be on the voice and the video. That's how I'm sure the tech guys are thinking in the back end. Just imagine the impact it will have. Okay, thanks. I think I've been taking somebody's time like anything. Thanks a lot for all you guys.
Sir, one question from my end, sir.
Yeah,
Sir, thank you, sir.
I think Shanmugaraj has got one question, Mani. Shanmugaraj from
There's a lot of echo. Yeah, go ahead. Whoever's got a question, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, happy 16th anniversary, sir. Sir, actually, I would like to ask you one question. For example, we have an activity in software testing 201 to write a test case for Gmail. Yeah, but if you're using the ChatGPT.
Hey, sorry, I'm not able to hear Shanmugaraj. Hello.
So, will it affect our thinking capacity, sir? Because yes, we know that ChatGPT is useful for a lot of things, but if you look at from the point of detached point of view, it's making easy for our students to clear a certification or to do an activity without putting any effort. So, what is your thoughts around this?
No. This is an important point. See, it is not eliminating the learning process, Shanmugaraj. What I said was the essence of what you would have spent hours of reading a book is made available with the shortest time. Like Uday also explained nicely how the thing worked on the practical sense, right?
Yes.
But the need for using learning or how to apply that for a particular client or how to improve certain things, these are the things which are there. Like in detached context, what we now need to focus more is not on the ability to write essays or descriptive thing about a particular thing, but more on the application side, which means, like I said, beginning, the fundamentals have to be taught. The principles have to be there, still taught.
Yes, sir.
You can only eliminate this volumes of reading thing which takes time to do that. That part can be taken care by GPT. So now, if you remember, I think some of you, not many of us have read the state board exams, 10th, 12th, right? So the marks were awarded based on the length of the replies and how closely it is resembling the textbook, etc., right? Yes. So that method is gone out of the way. It is completely irrelevant right now. So you have to figure out a better way of testing your students and the knowledge. DTouch has to be improving that. So you have to assume that if you give me assignment, I'm going to use ChatGPT and give it to you. So now what? So you can't then evaluate that ChatGPT in an essay. So then we improve our testing methods, and in turn, it will also improve the learning method. So like any other thing, there's no simple answer. Detach is one area actually we can extensively use this. Because remember, you had struggled when you talk to captains and give the expression, this, that, everything, right? You can do one next week, they don't have time. Now it is possible, like someone said, you can actually structure the syllabus by doing a constant communication with ChatGPT, refining it in certain extent that you can actually prepare a lesson plan. Then go to our captain and say, boss, spend 1 hour and read out and tell me if this is fine. Because then we have a pakka plan ready. So earlier we were depending on, like earlier I said, HR, IT and all the ops. We were depending on the ops guys to come and tell us everything.
Right, sir.
Now it is like almost on the even. You can do your homework and go for a confirmation from the ops team. Guys will be very happy. You will be very happy to spend time, but validation has to still happen from that side. The rut and the homework can be done excellently, more accurately with ChatGPT. That is where we should be using. That's why I'm saying we need to now rethink.
Sure.
First step is this. So people should now get into this ChatGPT, understand, have a personal experience. Because unless you experience it personally, whatever I said will not get realized. Today I wanted to show the screen myself, but then I realized if people are not on screen, then that is also not going to be useful. It's better to go to open.ai, create your own user ID, play around with it for 10-15 days, ask all your team members to do that. Then you guys will figure out what needs to be done, how we can do it. So in the coming weeks, I think we'll have a much saying please wait for 5 minutes to celebrate our 16th anniversary.
Oh,
Sagar, unless we are getting to us, I will do it.
We are sure to like, sir.
Sorry?
Other year. So we are just waiting for the.
So you can do that. So you want me to shut up and go, right?
No, sir. We want you to watch. We want the entire, complete AC crew to be along with us. What their life is.
Sure.
So let's close the program. Then I think only you can move on to the next one.
Okay. I think yes, you are also ready. First, Chennai team will cut. We are on the line first today, okay. So we'll cut first.
Sure.
Yes, sir. So thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you, sir. We'll go for the cake cutting then.
Shileka, you're on mute.
Okay. So we have our Rajan sir.
Yeah, how come the cake is also blue?
Happy birthday.
I have some picture of Chennai.
Please take photos. Thank you.
Enjoy.
So So we so we'll call it.
Good luck.
Sure, sir. So we here.
But you sent a video. If you can, with Soumya and Bala. Yeah.
Sure, sir. Sure. Yeah. Thank you all. We can come sentence. You go show it. We'll go for a song first, okay? So DJ, we can have one song. So once
Sure.
Srinidhi is ready, we'll stop the song. Yeah.